Hi, my name is Trina Mays. I am one of the founding members of Christ Central Church and one of their women shepherds. One of the ways that I have seen the Lord really work in me is through the course and the journey that is my career. I feel like today there's a lot of pressure for people, for our young people, to figure out what they want to do with their life for the rest of their life and have that all figured out when they go into college. And I'm here to tell you that that was not the case for me. I had the privilege of having my college education, my undergraduate, paid for, but one of the stipulations that came with that is I had to have a Bachelor's of Science degree. So I literally picked my major by going through the course curriculum book and picking a major that had the least amount of calculus. So no divine calling there. I ended with computer information systems and graduated with that and a concentration in speech communications. Upon graduation, I went to work for a consulting firm, but then with about 3 years into it, I resigned. And I started on what I call phase 2 of my career journey, where I was primarily a stay-at-home mom. And I took 10 years and I worked part-time jobs that were conducive to the schedules of my children, so I could primarily be with them. When I was ready to enter back into the workforce full-time in the software development space, I felt a little lost. I had no idea how to go about doing that. I wasn't sure I'd still be relevant. Technology changes so fast that I wasn't sure that anything I did 10 years ago would still matter. And then I get a call from a friend that I had worked with right out of college, asking me if I was interested in coming back to work full-time. And I was like, actually I am. And she's like, great, let me make a phone call. And literally by the end of the day, I had a job. It was this beautifully packaged present literally dropped in my lap. Could not get any plainer than day that this was not of my efforts, but of the Lord. And that wasn't the only time. That was the beginning of a trend, frankly. A couple years later, I was let go from a job that I was working as a contractor on. I just received that phone call out of the blue and I was pretty devastated. And frankly, I was really scared because we were not in a position at this point to be without my paycheck. And again, I get a phone call. I'm not even sure how they picked up my resume from another contracting firm who aggressively placed me on a job with one of the financial institutions here in Charlotte. I think the message there is that God is continuing to provide, right? Like, it's not what I'm doing. He is paving the way and offering the opportunities as they go, and I'm just entering and stepping into them. So that job ended up going really well, and then there was a series of management changes. The culture started to shift a little bit, and it started me on this path of a really, what I would say, a challenging time, a dark time of really feeling frustrated, feeling disempowered. By the end of my time there, I was probably crying every day. Every day. I was very unmotivated, and it carried into my personal life and at home. It was taking up so much a mental and emotional space that left zero anything to give physically anywhere else. I was looking for another opportunity, which I found. A couple months in, I get a management change. The reality of it was this person would not have hired me. So now I'm working for someone whom I can never ever please. And I was constantly getting the constructive feedback. And as someone who seeks other people's affirmation, that was devastatingly hard because I was never receiving their affirmation. So from there, it got pretty dark quickly. It was more personal. What it did is I had to really get to a place where I knew whatever the Lord had for me was what I wanted for me. I had to get to a place of trusting that there was purpose in the struggle, that there was a purpose, that the Lord was still holding me in this place. And it was either for me and or others. And I met with a friend who asked me, has God ever failed you? And I knew the answer was no, he had not. And it did make me stop and pause about why am I here? What is the purpose in what I'm experiencing? I quickly realized that the Lord was using this to break me of misplaced sense of self-worth and value. Receiving that from other people based on work I was producing, rather than working to the best of my ability, was what the Lord required of me, and He was pleased with me for that. A verse that's really anchored me through the course of this journey is Romans 8:28. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to His purpose. This has provided me a bunch of comfort over time when I don't understand, when I'm in those moments of darkness and I don't understand what the next step or why the Lord is allowing this. During this time of struggle, I'm looking for a new job, I'm not getting the jobs. I get a call from a company that I had interviewed for a couple months prior and didn't get the job. And they said, hey, we have another job. And we set up a meeting to talk about what the new position was. And the day of that meeting is the day I got let go. So I literally hop on a call with the company that I'm currently employed with. They say, hey, we're having layoffs, you're part of the cut. And 30 minutes later, I had to pull myself together and get on a call with this hiring manager of this company that I had interviewed with 2 months before. And so, yeah, I had 6 months severance, and within 2 weeks, I already had another job. You know, I just look back at that time of struggle, and I know that this is what, like, His timing, right? I couldn't imagine what He had for me. Oh, look at how He's just perfectly orchestrated all of this timing. And the journey continues. I've recently completed my master's in talent and organization development. I'm in the beginning stages of starting my own company, holding that very loosely as I enter into that, knowing that the Lord, as He's provided in the past, will provide for this in the future.